welcome to the recording of the live book launch for the fourth book in the Adventures of Miss series, Nugget Comes Home. I'm so excited to get to collaborate with such amazing people and call these people friends. Lucian Noontil, the illustrator who does the gorgeous watercolour images that just bring the books to life. Becca Boucher, the author who comes up with these amazing concepts and writes the story out. Myself, who publishes the books, and Wendy Bithell from Vision Walks Eco Tours, who does all the techie work to make this launch happen. So please do enjoy watching how we launch the book and tell you a little bit about what goes behind making something like this happen. And thank you for joining us live to celebrate the launching of this book. Before we start, it's really important to me to acknowledge the country on which the four of us that are presenting today stand. I want to pay my respects to the original Indigenous people of the lands. So for me, that's the Widjabul people of the Bundjalung Nation, because it's their land on which I live, work and play. For Lucian, it's the Wurundjeri people of the Kulin Nation. For Wendy, who is hosting this launch for us, it's the Arakwal people of the Bundjalung Nation. And for Becca over in Massachusetts, it's the people of the Nipmuc and Mohican nations. I want to pay my respects to their elders past, present and emerging. And it's really important to me to particularly make the point that sovereignty was never ceded. This always is and always will be Aboriginal land. And now I'm going to ask Becca to pop onto the screen and tell us a little bit about why she felt it was important to write about the subject of this new book. Thanks, Becca.
Good evening, or good morning, everyone. I'm Becca Boucher, and for those who are new to the book series, I'm the woman behind the words, so to speak. I'm from Central Massachusetts, USA, which is about 6 miles west of Boston, and I'm a mom to two great young men. I have a small farm, and I'm definitely an animal lover and a lifelong lover of koalas, which is what drove me to write the adventures in this series. So why did I want to write a book about koalas and dogs? It seems like just one issue in a long line of issues challenging our koala friends today. But next to car hits and habitat loss, it's one of the most pressing issues. I had no idea what a huge threat domestic animals, mainly dogs, are to the koala population until we almost lost a colony koala bullet from just this issue. And it can be a silent killer. What looks like just a small scratch from a dog can have, and koala getting too close, can have huge implications for a koala. Koalas have a fragile system and can quickly succumb to a dog bite, which is what happened to Bullet later in Katrina's awesome story. My hope is that by writing this book in such an accessible and friendly way, we can bring to light how much of a problem it is and how easily it can be remedied by a few simple steps. The book is really going to speak for itself in that way. It's just another spoke in the wheel of koala conservation, and an important one at that. Protecting koalas in any way we can is important to me, and it's a small step from halfway around the world I can take writing these books, and I can contribute to the koala conservation effort. And so now we're going to head on over to Lucienne, and she's going to tell us all about illustrating and how she picked the pictures she did for illustrating dogs.
Hi everyone, Woman Jaker. That's welcome in the Wurundjeri people's language, and that's where I am living right now in Melbourne. I got the opportunity to illustrate book 1 a few years ago, and now here we are at book 4. What a terrific experience that's been. The sad thing is our beautiful land, our beautiful koala habitat is still being cleared, and koala populations are decreasing along with many other species of birds and animals. We must send our books to the environment ministers and premiers to see if we can educate them. So, to illustrating this book, dogs are certainly not my forte, And this story did require some delicate manoeuvres as our love for koalas intersected our love for dogs. How was I going to portray a friendly dog that harms a gorgeous koala? I was going to have beautiful, playful puppies? No. That would never work. They're just too playful and they wouldn't harm anyone, would they? The next one, that's too aggressive. We don't want to scare anyone. And we know that pets aren't always like that, are they? And the next one may be, yes, golden retriever or lab. What a choice. That would be typecasting. We couldn't have that. So I'm not going to tell you I'm not going to show you what I've illustrated, but I felt a mixed race dog would be best. One that didn't bare its teeth, but also struck a friendly pose. You'll just have to buy the book and see how it came about. Now, ultimately from these books, we want folk to fall in love with nature and feel a part of it so we can really look after this world. And this book has some helpful hints from Mist and her friends for dog owners on how they and their canine mates can coexist with wildlife. So there is a few friendly labs and retrievers in that to show you in those little helpful hints for dog owners. Now, a tricky thing about Nugget was the name Nugget. Because it's based on the true story of Bullet, who lives on Koala Gardens. When I heard the word bullet in the manuscript, I just went, no. I don't think having that name is a good idea. Not in a children's story. An issue we really didn't need to address here. We're wanting to focus on beautiful nature and looking after nature and what's happening to koalas. Now, it was just an extra issue we didn't need to address. So it was a little bit tricky because Katrina and Rebecca have known Bullet for so long. It does make sense to have Bullet's name there. But as I said, for me, it was an issue. And when I asked my friends in childhood development, they agreed and said, look, it's not necessary there, so don't have it. So we just decided not to use Bullet, and Rebecca came up with the beautiful name Nugget, and we think that fits perfectly. So it's over to Katrina now to tell us the story of Bullet.
Thanks so much, Lucienne. Well, I'm pretty excited actually to do this part because
Thanks.
I'm going to tell us all about the story behind Nugget Comes Home, and that is the story of Bullet himself. So this photo I took in 2017 when Bullet first arrived on the property. And what I love is how well Lucienne captures the essence of the character of each koala in her paintings. They're just absolutely superb. Now, May 21, 2018, I took this photo, but I didn't even notice that little tiny dot on the side of his thigh. A few days later, I can see it's a little bit bigger, but again, on the day that I took that, I didn't even notice it. I'll just give you a little warning. This next image is a little bit graphic. A week later, it had abscessed and blown open. So I had to go about catching Bullet and getting this seen to. And when we can't flag a koala down out of a tree because they're too high up, we use a trap. Now, it actually took 2 goes to get Bullet trapped in the tree because this was the first trap that I put up and he got out. He probably got into those bushes behind. But you can see how beautifully Lucienne captures those moments that are real in the illustrations that she does. So the next day, when I came out hoping to find him in the trap, instead I found him up at the top of a 30-metre tall tree. So I had to dismantle the trap and put the trap up again around that huge tree. What you can see here is that inside the trap, we do camouflage painting. so that from above, with the koala looking down, they actually can hardly see the trap at all, but the white walls are really obvious to us from the outside. And if you're wondering, yep, that's gaffer tape holding the trap together. That's how high tech we are in koala rescue. And then we also have a fox trap that fits into the hole at the front of the trap, which what happens is the koala comes down the tree, walks around, goes, oh, there's the way out, and into the fox trap he goes. And there's Bullet literally sitting in the fox trap when I came along. I have to check the trap every 1 to 2 hours when it's around a tree, and there he was in the trap. I then put the trap on the back of the quad bike, have it completely covered over. Otherwise, the animal would freak out, drive slowly back to the house, into the car, and he went to Friends of the Koala where we assessed him, and then he went up to Currumbin Wildlife Hospital. I've included this little illustration here just to explain a little bit about the process we go through, which is that for the illustration in the book, it made more sense for children to be able to see what was actually happening if they could see Bullet peering out of the cage. But what you saw was, in fact, that's not how we do it in reality. But sometimes we do that with the books. We will use the illustration to show a concept, and it might not be exactly the real situation. Now, Bullet was in hospital for 2 months and he nearly died a couple of times, not so much because of the wound, but because he was totally stressed about being in captivity. You can see that he's really happy. He's eating madly away there once he'd been released, but you can also still see the little wound down there because these kind of wounds have to be left open so they can heal from the inside out. This was him on the day of release, and you can see that red ear tag in his ear. A few months later, October, and you can see that that leg has healed up beautifully. January the next year, you can see the ear tag still in his ear. And then late January, it's gone. And we all know that. Everyone who loves Bullet knows that Bullet has a rip in his ear. This photo was taken just a few days ago, showing just how well and healthy and awesome he is right today. So for me, this was really important because this story showed how dogs engage in play chase behaviour. They're not necessarily being vicious. And we needed to get the message out that even the tiniest breach of skin on wildlife can kill them. There's another fun part in the story concerning birds. So the native birds here are really intelligent and they've got a strong sense of family and community. And I don't know how many times I have actually left the house to go searching out on the property to find out why there's some big raucous going on with the birds. And a few times I've actually found quite interesting things happening when I've done that. So the birds will alert of lots of things. So this is book 4 in a series. I'm going to hand over now back to Lucienne, and she's going to just take us quickly back to where it all began.
The Adventures of Miss Book 1, Finding Koala Gardens. Rebecca, so keen to write the story about a koala, but this was the best place to start. How is she going to find Koala Gardens? And this first picture, it says it all. So poor old Mist and her family have lost their forest. It's been cut down, and in that corner of the picture there is a truck, and guess where all the wood's going? To us. So yeah, it's a bit of a dilemma. Mist has sat there all night. She's been very unhappy. Her favourite tree's gone, her family are gone, and so she needs to find a home. Next one is she's found a few friends, which is wonderful. She's not on her own anymore. But they have dilemmas of how to find Koala Gardens, because someone said, oh, Koala Gardens might be a nice place to go. I've heard about it. But there are things that they've got to traverse, like roads. And it's hard enough for us to cross busy roads, let alone an animal who has no idea about road rules and road signals, etc., and how fast cars go. So there was quite a few things to challenge the group along the way. Next one. Oh, look, they found Koala Gardens. I know it's a spoiler. It is really a spoiler, isn't it? But never mind. This is the first book. She finds somewhere safe and happy to live. She actually had her favourite tree, which is an angophora, and Katrina would find mist in that tree quite often. But this next picture, oh, I forgot about that one. This is what the actual book one looks like. And this, the front cover is the illustration that won me, well, one of them that won me the right to be a part of this adventure series. And Katrina thought that it was so like Mist that I got the job. And what a wonderful job I've had. Now, the next slide, after doing the book, getting it all printed and launched, I had to go and visit Katrina and take the book on a little tour around her area. And we went out to schools and libraries and preschools to show them this wonderful book about nature and our concern for nature. And that in the background is Mist with her little baby Chrissy. That is just a wonderful, wonderful memory for me, and it's a lovely thing that we did. And one day, thank you, Wendy, for doing that. One day we'll get up there again, hopefully, do more book tours and touring around with Katrina and Wendy. So there you go. Over to Katrina for book 2.
Thanks so much, Lucienne. That was really good. And by the way, that was not photoshopped. That was actually Lucienne standing in the beginning of the rainforest with Mist and Chrissy in the trees just behind her. It was just fantastic having her here. So in book 1, children have now learned that the biggest threat to our wildlife is the loss of habitat, and the biggest solution is to preserve and restore habitat. Book 2 then introduces us to some more native wildlife, and I just had to do this little screen because, again, you can just see how well Lucienne captures the essence of Mist when you look at that photo and then you look at this painting. So book 2 introduces us to a tawny frogmouth. She's been hit by a car and she gets released at Koala Gardens. And children are introduced again to the concept of problem solving, working as a team, doing something to make a difference and consider our wildlife. Beautiful artwork again on the cover. So you'll notice that the covers follow a bit of a theme as well as the patterns in the book. And here's a real tawny frogmouth here at Koala Gardens. So another fantastic thing about all of this is that even though the stories are fictional or based on something real, all of the animals that we see are here at Koala Gardens. So Becca's now going to step us through book 3. Thanks, Becca.
In book 3, we talked about fires in Australia back, I believe it was last year, and how Mist and her friends would face that problem. It was another big problem for Mist to solve, and it was really a special book to me. And also, book 3 talks about, of course, trees. Trees are the most important thing we have for koalas, and that's something we try to get out in every single book. Habitat, habitat, habitat. Trees. We need trees. Stop taking away the koalas' trees. And then, of course, we have the cover. That's fall. This cover is a little bit darker than the other 2 covers. We want to get that feel of the fire and a little bit of age-appropriate danger in there. but this is most certainly was, up until the book about Nugget, this was my favorite book. And I think we're sending it back to Katrina.
So we're nearly at the end of things, but I just want to get Wendy to come on the screen because I want to really thank Wendy for hosting this for us. We couldn't do it without you. And Wendy is from Vision Walk Eco Tours. As I said before, she's already been doing a tour at 5 o'clock this morning. But Wendy and I are beginning to partner on another new venture. And Wendy, I'd love for you to tell people about what we're doing.
So since COVID, I've been running virtual tours where we literally go out where koalas are or whatever we're looking for, live on Zoom via my trusty phone. And it's like an interactive documentary. So I find the animals, talk all about them, talk about their habitat, their biology, their threats, and then they can see the animals and talk to me all in live real time. But now we're doing these with Katrina at Koala Gardens, and because we're both a bit nerdy, we're taking it a step further, and Katrina's actually going out with her super zoomy camera with the big lens, connecting that to a laptop. So now we can have a really beautiful zoomed in picture of the or video of the animal that we're looking at live. And me and all talking about it all at the same time. It's actually really exciting stuff that we're doing. And we're doing groups from all around the world. We're doing community groups, schools, corporate groups, retirement homes, all sorts of people, birthday parties, everyone from all around the world. It's a really exciting project that we're working on.
It is. And we had so much fun doing 3 tours in one day last week where we tested all our new techie stuff out and we nerded out, and it was even lightly raining, and I have now ordered new umbrellas and clips to be able to have umbrellas attached to the tripod above the camera and all sorts of things. So we're right into it. Thanks so much, Wendy. If you do have a question that you'd like to ask of myself, Lucienne, or Becca, if you can throw it into the live chat now, then Wendy is keeping an eye on that stuff. And Wendy, if there's any in there, you could start by asking that. And Becca and Lucienne, we could all turn our video and microphones on so that we're kind of ready to jump in and answer anything.
There's a question from Jack R. Lucienne, how large are your illustrations?
Okay, well, originally I started with big, and they were probably about A2 size, and just because of the way Katrina puts the books together, I've tried to compact that so it's better for consistency on scanning, because we've got to use the equipment that we've got, and it's not always accessible to have, the one particular machine to scan. So I've condensed down into probably more an A3 size.
Can I just add something to what Lucienne said? Is that what we also didn't mention is how amazing it was that we managed to get this book scanned and printed during the lockdowns in Victoria. Like,
Yeah.
it has been a logistical adventure.
Well, Katrina, to add to that, it has been fantastic because I've been locked down and been able to do the illustrations.
Well, that's very true. We might not have
Without
gotten
distraction.
it printed for Christmas if we hadn't had a captive Lucienne. Oh, dear.
Definitely.
Okay. Thanks, Wendy.
Any more questions? Approximately, from Caroline Coburn, what is the approximate age range of the books written for?
It's written for early readers up to about 10 years old. So what Lucienne and I, we had a really good time when we did the tour with the first book, because we went to preschools, libraries and primary schools. And preschoolers love the illustrations, but there is a lot of text for them. It's designed so that you can read it to a child, but a child that's reading in that 5 to 10 age group has got enough reading there to be really engaged with it. And I have lots of people come up to me at the markets and tell me that their 8-year-old reads it to their 3 and 4-year-old. And that's I find that really exciting because it gets children engaged together. So it goes across quite an age group.
We've got a question here from Val. We've got, will you write Matilda's story sometime?
The books are designed to talk about environmental issues. So as we start working on the next books, we will look at the current koalas on the property and see, who we bring in what order. So I think that there's a really good chance Matilda's going to come waltzing through one of the books.
A question from Jillian Dreams. Do the proceeds go to the Koala Gardens?
That's a great question. All of the proceeds from book 1 go here to Koala Gardens. Then from book 2 onwards, if Becca pays to have books printed, then what she sells out of that, she makes profit on. If Lucienne pays to have books printed, what she sells, she makes profit on. And anything that you buy directly from me is, of course, then the profits from all of that go to Koala Gardens. So we need to acknowledge that Becca and Lucienne put a huge amounts of time and energy and creativity into them. So we've made it that way so that they can recoup some of their money, but it doesn't cost me anything for them to be selling books. So it makes it a really nice collaboration.
Any more questions out there?
Before you go, I can just see there's a question about Redbubble. No, they won't be on Redbubble because Redbubble are a print-on-demand service. So I've already paid to print the books, and yes, they are all printed on recycled paper. So these are really good questions that are coming through the chat there. So yes, and inside on the imprint page, we make it clear that they're printed on recycled paper. So I don't want you to leave, even though I'm going to announce that we're calling the launch to a close, because Wendy is going to get everyone to turn their video on just for a moment so she can take a beautiful screenshot of everybody that's here, and that's going to be really nice just to have that little record of it. And then after that, we will allow everybody to unmute. So stay on mute, just put your video on for the moment, and then we will allow everybody to unmute, but I'll get Wendy to kind of get that organised.
Can we just declare that this book is launched and everyone can go Yahoo?
That's a really good idea.
For everyone's videos to come up first.
Do the jazz hands for the photo.
Yay! We're still waiting for everyone's videos to come up.
And you made it through the end of the launch of Nugget Comes Home. Thanks so much for watching, and thank you so much to all the people that were there making that live event something really fantastic. I'm so pleased to work with such beautiful women. It's really an honour. Now, would you take a moment to write in the comments below, fall in love with nature. Keep watching, plenty of video coming up. See you soon. Did you hit the like button? Now before you go, there's lots more great video to see, and make sure you've subscribed and hit that notification bell.